Good afternoon, D&D, TikTok, and beyond, and welcome to Roll for Sandwich, the series where I let fate decide my lunch. Let's go. Today I'm going to be using these green and yellow dice that were sent in by a viewer. Thanks. Let's get things started with our roll for bread. 2 freezer ends. I dug around in my freezer and pulled out this small loaf of sourdough. It's frozen, but nothing a little toasting cantrip can't take care of. Next up, let's roll for our main. 7 ham. I definitely enjoy a good ham sandwich. This is not a bad roll to start off with. Ham pairs well with a lot of things, so it gives us a good chance going forward to get a decent sandwich. All right, let's roll for cheese. 6 melted raclette. Raclette is a Swiss cheese, typically served melted with boiled potatoes. They use an open fire or a special type of grill to melt the cheese. I obviously don't have one of those, so I am cutting this in thin strips so that it will melt easier. And then we're gonna heat it on the stovetop. I've got my pan already warmed up and I'm gonna drop my cheese in here. It starts melting pretty quickly. Gonna move it around a little, make sure that everything gets heated equally and that I don't burn anything. The raclette melts up pretty nice, but does have a little bit of a smell. It doesn't bother me that much, but for some people it can be quite unpleasant. And once our cheese is fully melted, we move over to our sandwich and we're gonna pour it on here. Now, ideally, we would eat this immediately, but that's not how the roll for sandwich process works, so hopefully that doesn't hurt our experience too much. All right, next up, let's roll roughage. 4 potato and 10 sour garlic pickles. I have some baked potato that I'm gonna add to the sandwich here. I'm a little bit shocked. Potato has been on the list for a while, as has raclette, but I didn't really think they were gonna get rolled together. As I mentioned before, raclette is traditionally eaten with boiled potatoes and often pickles. So far, I think this is kind of perfect. The pickles will add acid, which will nicely cut through the fat of the ham, the cheese. We've got a solid sandwich going into Wild Magic, which might be our demise. All right, let's get wild. 18 finishing salt. I will take it. We have unseasoned potatoes, so adding a little bit more salt to this is okay by me. This finishing salt is thick flakes of crunchy salt, which you add at the end of a dish for presentation and texture. Pretty solid going into sauce. Let's see if we can keep it up. Last but not least is the D20 sauce roll. Here we go. 11 Tapatio. Tapatio is a pretty common American hot sauce that has a good kick without being incredibly spicy. Adding a little bit of heat to this sandwich, I think, was a pretty perfect roll. There are a lot of sauces that wouldn't fit with this, but I think this works. Let's go ahead and get our sandwich put together here. Get our toothpicks in to hold it together, and let's get it cut in half. And let's take a look at that cross-section. All right. Well, on paper, this seems like it should be a banger. Hopefully that proves to be the case. Let's give it a taste. I am happy to report that this is really good. That cheese really is the star. I wasn't sure how baked potato would work on a sandwich, but in this case, it's great. Doesn't add a ton of flavor, just a little bit of richness and some texture. The pickles and hot sauce are nice and bright, which works well as a contrast. This sandwich is close to being perfect. And actually, I think it might have been had we put on the cheese last and ate it right after that. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, so as it is, I'm gonna have to give this one a 9.9. And I'm gonna call it the Swiss near miss. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Hope you have a great day, and I will see you again on Wednesday.